I have just started a painting, a watercolor painting of Niagara Falls, and this is the setup that I have on my art table right now. So I thought I would share how I'm going about creating this watercolor commission for somebody for the holidays, and this is going to be a Christmas present for someone who actually is from Niagara Falls, and so am I, from that area. So what I thought I would share is that I have some reference material. Here's a book of Niagara Falls. And I chose this view because it includes the view from the American side towards the Canadian Horseshoe Falls. And this is known as the American Falls, and there's a small little island here with a tiny waterfall, or a waterfall that's not as majestic, and that's called the Bridal Veil. So I wanted to include that scene, and I gave myself a mat board the size of my watercolor painting to give my composition a frame. So what I started out doing was I gathered all of my watercolor paints, and I have various brands, and I just like to mix them up. So I decided that it's easier if I just work with a small variety of colors rather than try to mix a rainbow of colors, because this watercolor isn't going to need every hue. So what I did was I cut a little square, and I analyzed different sections of my reference image, and I made color swatches from my watercolors so that I would have some sort of reference before I attempted the watercolor painting. Here is a sketch I made on mixed media paper, and I didn't like the way the watercolor absorbed in the paper, so I'm going to be working on some more quality watercolor paper, and this is cold press 100% watercolor paper from Dick Blick. So as you can see, I have a sketch. The sketch came from my reference image. I have a color palette, and I've done some experimental swatches. And now I'm going to start laying in the big color areas and work through the composition. So I'm going to put this on hold, stop it here, and I will continue with the rest of the video as I make progress. Making progress on the watercolor of Niagara Falls. I added in some details in the background and the sky and the rainbow that usually appears in the mist at the base of the falls. One thing I'm going to say about painting watercolors, particularly if you're doing a landscape with water, is that you have to change out your water quite frequently. As you can see, my water is all purpley from doing the sky, the magenta colors. So I don't want to dip my brush in there and try to paint more of the water, because I'll end up getting it contaminated. So when you're painting watercolors, my recommendation is to have more than one jar of water and keep it clean. Okay, I'll let you know what's going on in the final round as I finish this watercolor commission of Niagara Falls. All right, well, I'm calling it done because you can't overwork watercolors. Unlike acrylic paints, you can't layer over the colors. And so I don't want to overwork this, and I am finished at this point. And here I go. I'm just going to take off the tape for the border and call it a finished piece of artwork. And I am thoroughly enjoying the process of painting this. I have family that lives in Niagara Falls and I miss them, so this has been like a visit back to my hometown. So here is my finished watercolor of Niagara Falls.